Deep within the heart of South America, beyond the reach of roads, satellites, or human maps, lies a forest older than time itself, the Arvora jungle. Stretching for hundreds of miles, it is a dense tangle of green, where sunlight filters through the canopy in jagged, golden spears, and the air hums with life-buzzing insects, croaking frogs, and the distant calls of unseen creatures. Many have tried to explore it, fewer have returned, and only a handful have truly lived within its, the mysterious and secretive tribe known as the Ka-Luri. This is the story of Evan Carter, a young American researcher and adventurer who risked everything to uncover their secrets, not for fame, not for money, but for a question that had haunted him since childhood: how do humans survive, and even thrive, in a world untouched by modern life? The journey begins. Evan's journey started in Manaus, Brazil, where he met his guide, an elderly local named Rico, who knew the Arvora jungle like the back of his hand. Rico's eyes held a mixture of fear and respect whenever he spoke of the forest. "You will see wonders and dangers you cannot imagine," he said. "The jungle does not forgive the careless." Their expedition began with a rickety wooden boat gliding down the winding Amazon tributaries. The river water was brown, thick with silt, and teeming with live fish that could swallow a man's hand, snakes gliding like dark silk, and the occasional flash of a giant caiman's eyes. By the third day, the boat gave way to footpaths barely visible through the overgrowth. Each step was a battle against thick vines, slippery mud, and the constant drone of insects. But Evan's determination was stronger than fear. The forest had a rhythm, a pulse he had never felt before. Each rustle, each bird call seemed to be speaking directly to him. The Whispering Canopy. After 16 days of grueling travel, they reached a place explorers called the Whispering Canopy. As the sun sank behind the horizon, the treetops swayed and whispered with the wind, a sound so melodic, so eerie, that it felt like the forest itself was alive and aware of them. It was here, on the third night, that Evan first encountered the Ka-Luri. The night was thick with shadows when he heard drums, soft at first, then growing in intensity, echoing through the trees. Before he could react, 10 figures emerged from the darkness. Painted faces, spears tipped with obsidian stone, silent, calculated steps. Evan froze. The eldest among them, a tall woman with deep amber eyes and hair braided with leaves and beads, stepped forward. She extended a hand, touched Evan's chest gently, and said one word: "Toman, stranger, under protection." In that moment, Evan realized he was not entering a hostile world. He was entering a culture of precision, wisdom, and survival honed over generations. Life among the Ka-Luri. For the next 84 days, Evan lived with the Ka-Luri. Their daily life was a blend of ritual, survival, and harmony with the jungle. Hunting and gathering, the Ka-Luri hunted with spears and traps, designed to minimize suffering and conserve energy. They knew every plant and its use, some for food, some for medicine, and some as poisons. Evan learned to recognize edible roots that doubled as medicine, and leaves that could purify water, shelter. Homes were built high in the canopy to avoid predators, supported by thick vines and reinforced with the sap of the ironbark tree, which hardened like resin. Each home was a fortress, blending seamlessly with the jungle. Fire. The tribe used a unique resin from the ghost bark tree to produce flames without smoke, perfect for warmth, cooking, and hunting without alerting predators. Evan was amazed. Even modern survival guides had no reference to such a substance. Healing illnesses were treated through sound. Low-frequency humming rituals were performed to calm the nervous system, alleviate pain, and even stimulate recovery. Evan later realized this matched modern studies on sound therapy, centuries ahead of their time. Communication. The Ka-Luri language blended human speech with natural sounds: bird calls, insect clicks, rustling leaves. Predators could never locate them by sound alone. Evan struggled to follow conversations, but he began to hear the forest through their words. The wonders of our jungle was not only home to people but to countless marvels. Bioluminescent rivers. Evan learned to navigate rivers at night, guided only by glowing microorganisms. The blue light was ethereal, reflecting off leaves and water, creating a scene like a living dream. Giant trees. Some trees were over 300 feet tall, their roots forming natural bridges and shelters. The Ka-Luri treated these trees with reverence, believing each tree held a spirit guarding the forest. Jungle wildlife, from the silent jaguar that crossed paths at dawn to the colorful macaws that screeched warnings. Evan documented animals and their behavior. He realized the Ka-Luri had detailed knowledge of the ecosystem that no scientific text could match. The night of the black storm. The 62nd day, the sky darkened unnaturally. The elders whispered urgently, "The black storm is coming." Every 9 years, a storm of unmatched fury swept through the Arvora jungle. Winds that bent trees like twigs, lightning that seemed to split the sky in two, and torrential rain that could drown rivers in hours. Evan panicked. How could humans survive such a force of nature? But the Ka-Luri moved with grace. Homes were secured with vines stronger than steel. Food was hidden in tree hollows waterproofed with sap. Children were comforted with chants that synchronized with the wind, easing their fear. When the storm struck, Evan realized something profound. The jungle did not fear the Kailuri did not fear the jungle. They listened. They understood. They became part of it. The storm lasted 3 days. When it passed, the jungle lay in ruin. But the Kailuri survived, calm and unharmed. Evan, drenched and exhausted, felt a newfound respect for humanity's potential when aligned with nature. Cultural secrets during his stay. Evan documented rare rituals. The dance of the fireflies. Children and elders danced in a clearing during certain full moons. Fireflies responded to their movements, creating luminous patterns in the darkest symphony of light. The memory stones, the Kailuri, preserved their history in stones etched with symbols. By touching them, one could feel memories of past generations' stories, lessons, warnings, all without spoken words. Medicinal knowledge. Plants that modern science had only recently begun to study were already being used. Anti-inflammatory leaves, antibacterial resins, and roots with mild sedative effects. The tribe had turned survival into an art of applied science. Evan's transformation by the end of his stay. Evan was no longer the same man who entered the jungle. His fear had been replaced with respect. His questions about survival had been answered. But he carried no treasure, no artifact to prove his journey. Instead, he carried a single message, written in Kailuri symbols: protect the forest, and the forest protects you. Returning to civilization, Evan shared the story with the world. Documentaries went viral. Scientists sought his guidance. Millions were inspired by a people who had mastered survival, balance, and wisdom long before modern technology existed. The viral impact. Evan's story resonated because it combined adventure and danger in known cultures and rituals, scientific curiosity, emotional human connections, vivid storytelling. The Kailuri became more than a tribe, they became a symbol of harmony between humans and nature. And for every viewer, the story sparked a question: could we too listen to the world around us and survive, not just with technology, but with understanding? Epilogue. Years later, Evan returned to Arvora. The Kailuri welcomed him like a long-lost brother, and though he had changed, the jungle remained the same, mysterious, alive, whispering its secrets to those willing to listen. The whispering canopy had taught him a lesson that could not be taught in any classroom. Survival is not conquest. It is connection. It is harmony. And it is respect for every leaf, every creature, and every breath of the living world.